Hello everybody and welcome back to Hawkeye Month. Isn't this just beautiful? Look at it. The wonderful Clint Barton jumping out of the way of some bullets using the Hawkeye mask to, well, let's just say it's blocking his arrow shaft. Man, I hope we see this in the upcoming Hawkeye show. Really makes you wonder, what else could we see in that? Well, speaking of hopes, that's what this video is about. I'm here to tell you my hopes for the upcoming Hawkeye show. But not just the show. I figure we should talk about all things this character could be related to. Now, we won't touch on the comics, but with the upcoming show and What If, and maybe the MCU as a whole, maybe we could find some sort of ground to cover here. I'm also going to say that this is my list, and some of the stuff that's already confirmed is not here. Yes, I want Lucky the dog and Kate Bishop as much as everybody else, but those things are confirmed. Even Hawkeye's old mentor, the swordsman, is confirmed, so he's not on this list either. This is stuff that hasn't been directly said or confirmed. Even if there are set photos hinting at it, I still want to be specific with my list. That being said, let's jump into our hopes for Hawkeye and the future of the MCU, and maybe a few other properties while we're at it. Why say other properties? Literally everything we're about to talk about has something to do with the MCU. I mean, one is What If, but, you know, that's still in the MCU, just like multiverse-wise. Let's get into it! So, would you believe it, we actually threw out the budget with all the other, pictures that will be in the rest of this video. So, for this first one, I'm just gonna hold this up. Yeah, so slight spoilers for the end of Black Widow. 3, 2, 1. Yelena will be hunting Hawkeye in the MCU's future. I'm not convinced that this is going to end with either character dying, but will probably start as some sort of disagreement, some sort of battle that they have to work through. I can't imagine she'll be in too many episodes of the Hawkeye show, but she could become a friend of Kate Bishop. I honestly hope that Clint takes her under his wing a little bit and tells stories of Natasha, maybe even revealing more of Budapest than we saw in the Black Widow movie. That's pretty much it. That's why if we had to cut costs anywhere, it was with this. So yeah, moving on. So, imagine people who every sentence they say the word bro. That is the beauty of the tracksuitdraculas. I hope this gang pops up in the MCU, but I also hope that they specifically end up fighting Hawkeye. They are directly tied into Lucky the dog's origin story, where Hawkeye used to Hawkeye used to feed him pizza, so Lucky kind of became loyal to Clint. So when his owners, members of the tracksuitdraculas, attacked Clint, Lucky stepped up and defended him, ending in Hawkeye taking on Lucky as his own dog. I love these guys. They're so goofy. I love their leader, Ivan. I truly hope they make an appearance, and I know there are set photos of people in tracksuits, but I hope it's not just a one-episode thing. I hope these guys are throughout. I hope they say bro just as much as they do in the comics, and by the way, this picture over here, this isn't the biggest use of the word bro. They go nuts with it. I would love to see it. I think that would work great with the comedy, and honestly, I just love these guys. They can be threatening, but they can also be very funny. Tracksuitdraculas, please. Okay, so I know this is just number 3 on the list, but of everything, this is probably the thing I want most. I need to see Clint's time at the circus. Part of Clint's origin story is he ran away from his abusive family and went to Carson's Carnival of Traveling Wonders. This is the foundation of his abilities. It turns out that the secret the secret. The circus is run by criminals, and he's taught by the swordsman and trickshot how to use a bow and even use a sword. We know that the swordsman is going to be in the show, so why not throw in trickshot too? I really just need a flashback episode of this circus. Seeing Hawkeye do these amazing stunts in a show setting. Maybe even see his brother Barney. That's hard to say. Brother Barney. Brother Barney. It's actually easy. Huh. And we could get some very good tidbits talking about his family life. We already know about Hawkeye's mother Edith from in-game, so why can't we learn about his father a little bit? I'm just saying Clint has a rich backstory, and I want to see it so desperately. Why isn't this in the MCU yet? Hawkeye's classic suit is beautiful. The MCU is constantly struggling with nailing Hawkeye's costumes. They just released an image a couple weeks ago of Hawkeye's new suit for the show, which is directly adapting the My Life as a Weapon suit, and I love it. It looks really good. But we need this! We need Hawkeye's classic costume. We can get Scarlet Witch's classic costume. We can get Loki's classic costume. Why not Hawkeye's? It could be a flashback to him at the circus. We need to see this on camera. It would look so good. Just in the same way that Loki's suit looks so good. My dog is scratching behind her ear and it's loud. But that does not matter because she is a pizza hound that supports this suit coming into the MCU. It would look goofy. It would look strange. You know what else looks a little goofy and strange? Classic Loki. And he's wonderful. He's one of the best parts of the show. Marvel, I don't ask much of you, but please, please, please make a boy's dream come true of seeing this on the big screen. Or the small screen. I don't own a big TV. I got Disney Plus though, please. So, this one's still on my wish list, even though I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. I've noticed in the set photos that Kate Bishop specifically has a little utility belt. On this utility belt are arrowheads. So I have to assume we're going to see more of Hawkeye's trick arrows. I specifically want things like the acid arrow and the cryo arrow, which can freeze your enemies temporarily. These are really cool action beats that would be awesome to see Hawkeye have. He's always called the Powerless Avenger, but that's not super true. I mean, he can literally freeze people. He also has an arrow that has Pym particles in it, where he can shoot a whole brigade of arrows. Like, a whole thing of them with one arrow. I think if I had to pick one arrow I want to see more than any other, it would be the cryo arrow, though, just because I want to see Clint freeze people. But I also would like to see the boomerang arrow. You gotta respect the boomerang arrow. It has a great introduction in My Life as a Weapon, where Kate is told to why do I stutter every time I talk about things I love? Kate is told to unloose her bow. She fires the arrow in the air. Turns out the boomerang arrow was the one she knocked, and it comes back and hits an enemy in the head, knocking them unconscious. Respect the boomerang arrow. I also like the putty arrow because it can literally get goop all over people. That sounds dirtier than I wanted it to, but it can essentially act like a glue grenade if you've played the Arkham games. This is just a really good idea, guys. We need to see more of these amazing arrows. It would be great for action scenes, and honestly, Clint deserves it. He's had a couple good ones throughout, but his most eventful one was the taser arrow, and the one that kind of made a force field that defeated Vision briefly. We need to see some cool stuff, man. Oh yeah, he also used the flare arrow in in-game to lure away Thanos' minions. But a flare isn't that cool. I mean, it's kind of cool. It's pretty cool. All of the arrows are cool, but I want the freezy arrow. All right, so for a brief second, let's talk about Marvel What If. Now, I've seen the trailer, and I think that there is a chance that one of the episodes could be about what if Hawkeye killed Thor and he himself became worthy of the hammer. I think that is a very cool concept, especially because if you look back at Endgame, it actually was Hawkeye who was the first one to try and lift Thor's hammer. It kind of all ties together that way. I also noticed a zombie Hawkeye, which looks incredible. I can't imagine that zombie Hawkeye will have the same role he did in the comics. Though weirdly enough, it seems that Scott Lang might be taking Hawkeye's role because Hawkeye ended up getting his head in a jar, and you can see Scott Lang's head in a jar in one of the episodes. Now, one of my big requests for an episode of What If is actually what if Natasha was the one who survived on Vormir? And it was actually Hawkeye that died, and Natasha Romanoff had to take up the mantle of Hawkeye. I think that could be a cool concept, especially if she revisits her friends from her own movie, like Red Guardian or Melina and Yelena. I think there's a cool story to tell here. And imagine Nat's, grief of losing Clint. She literally fought to, kill herself for this man. It would be very interesting to see how she deals with that. Just how I hope it will be really interesting to see how he deals with her death in his own show. So, I guess the big thing I want from all this is more of Hawkeye's origin, more My Life as a Weapon stuff, and I really hope that they play with the guilt he feels of losing and even killing so many people. When you think about it, if you combined his time under Loki's mind control and Ronin, Hawkeye has a pretty huge body count. I really hope we can tap into this stuff. I want to see his origin and original costume more than anything. And I do hope we see more of Hawkeye's family. It's such an interesting dynamic to combine these two stories together. Also, the last thing I want Hawkeye to become a homeowner. But not just a homeowner. An apartment complex landlord. That's true. In the comics, Hawkeye owns his own apartment complex, which he has to protect from gangs. I really hope we can see that in the MCU. I hope we see a lot of this stuff. I hope we see the circus. I hope we see Barney. I hope we see the origin of this amazing character. I'll be going into detail on some of my favorite things about Hawkeye's past in a later video. I'll also be doing a Q&A soon to talk directly about all of the things I love about this character. Also, I don't know which way I'm pointing, but he looks damn good with his face over his own crotch. That sounded better in my head. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you're enjoying Hawkeye Month. Yell loud and tell Disney that we want to go to the premiere so I can vlog it. And if not, well, maybe they'll send some merch for us to review. And if not, then just stick around because I'll be reviewing the show on my own time. Thank you guys so much for walking. I can't speak. I am incapable of speaking. The reason we don't do different takes is because I would have screwed those up too. Boomerang arrow, bro.